I called for BTC to go to over 100 trillion, even I believe 150 trillion, and I believe that's going to happen. Obviously going to take a couple of cycles, but I think we're on our way to going there. Economic system, society, it kind of unconsciously thinks in decades, not in years. And this is simply unfolding. It's going to take 10 to 20 years, but I think it's going to happen. And I continue to be a big believer in hyper Bitcoinization. I think meme coins are going to dominate until as long as fiat money is still alive.
The type of community, the quasi-religion, quasi-cult community which you are describing, which survives through whatever path it takes. If I were in search of a new religion, I would not go try to look at the casino. I would not try to go find those originating on a fast and loose token launch platform like pump.fun. I would probably start with examining culture itself and maybe some core belief systems emerging.
You're literally describing. I'm literally writing down notes because I like some of your wording here. You're literally describing my working thesis at the moment, word for word.
Well, first of all, Murad, welcome to Bitcoin Season 2. I'm glad to finally get you on this podcast.
Absolutely, man, and thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to start out with a little reprise of your previous thoughts on meme coins, but I do want to kind of direct this conversation towards Bitcoin and then maybe meme coins on Bitcoin. But let's roll the clock back with some context here, because I think a lot of people might be surprised that I have you on Bitcoin Season 2, but you actually played a major role in strengthening and forming my and many other Bitcoiners' mental models of Bitcoin itself. I mean, back when you and I both had short hair, I believe, you were talking about Bitcoin, and you gave rise to a lot of the talking points that you hear about Bitcoin. Can you give me some context on Murad's early Bitcoin arc and some of the talking points you were making years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, a lot of people might remember my writing, some of my podcast appearances in 2018. Probably the Anthony Pompliano one is the most famous example. For the record, not a single one of my views has changed. My views are identical to a T. And I believe that sort of the developments and price action is slowly but surely starting to prove some of those theories correct, I would say. I called for BTC to go to over 100 trillion, even I believe 150 trillion, and I believe that's going to happen. Obviously going to take a couple of cycles, but I think we're on our way to going there. In terms of my arc, or the BTC arc, I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. When BTC hit 1,000 for the very first time in late 2013.
I remember this was a very visceral couple months. Yeah.
Yep. I was lucky. I was in China, and I had an American friend who was actually the first foreign employee and the first American employee and overall employee number 4 at what is currently a top 5 centralized exchange. And, he showed me the ropes. He told me the theory, and I started kind of diving deeper and deeper. Was finishing university for a couple of years after that, worked in TradFi, worked in commodities trading. But when 2016, 2017 started rolling around, I knew I had to take Bitcoin and crypto overall much more seriously. Obviously, as many of us have, dug deep into a lot of the literature, probably read maybe close to 1,000 blogs. You know how it goes: monetary history, economic, like economic history, history of fiat money, gold, shells, and everything in between, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Some Nick Szabo back in, yeah.
Absolutely. Shelling out, classic,
Yeah.
a classic by him.
Yeah.
And I kind of was combining that with my own TradFi experiences, and was combining that with my own kind of observations living around the world. A lot of the people in the developed world, they don't quite grasp the importance of unseizable money, unprintable money. But if you are somebody who has spent time in the second world, or especially in the third world, how important these things might be. It's always people from these countries, they always grasp BTC even faster than kind of first worlders, just because they know the things that can happen. So BTC was always an obvious thing for me. And ultimately, at the end of the day, there's so many different frameworks to look at BTC, so many different angles. But at its simplest, right? I like when people put gold and BTC side by side, and you simply see BTC dominating along like 15 out of 16 axes, right? And it just, the way I see it is very simply, there is a pool of quote unquote value that is kind of inside the fiat cup. There is a pool of value that's inside the gold cup. And there's now a growing pool in the BTC cup. And obviously, and this applies to obviously stocks, real estate, bonds, art, and everything in between. But I think what's happening is, a lot of other asset classes have gotten monetized because of the massive money printing. Obviously, that money's trying to find a safe space somewhere. But BTC is kind of reversing some of that, and it's kind of arising as a pristine asset, which can, instead of people like buying stocks for that extra store of value factor, or real estate for that extra store of value factor, I think a lot of that is going to go into BTC. And I've been saying these exact same sentences word for word in 2017, and here we are 7 years later, actually. And we simply need to understand that humans, they are impatient creatures, and we want something like right here, right now, or like next year or whatever. But economic system, society, it kind of unconsciously thinks in decades, not in years. And this is simply unfolding. It's going to take 10 to 20 years, but I think it's going to happen. And I continue to be a big believer in hyper Bitcoinization. And frankly, obviously, comparing today to 2017, we're so much further along the curve, right? So it's happening slowly but surely.
Bitcoin Season 2 is brought to you by Botanix. Botanix Labs is pioneering a new direction for DeFi with the first EVM L2 running on Bitcoin that's built to be forward secure, decentralized, and share gas fees generated by the network with users. See the future of DeFi at Botanix, botanixlabs.xyz. So you have been very early to these strong mimetic narratives in our ecosystem, which tend to bring in people. And like right now, you have like captured the meme coin zeitgeist. But like I want to roll it back a little bit again, because you have had this like edge in identifying narratives early and codifying them. Do you think of this as an edge, or does this begin from first principles? And like maybe what are those first principles?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, because the world is moving so fast, and even the speed at which the world is moving itself is accelerating, I've started to read less blogs and less Substacks and less books, and just literally spending like 17 hours a day on Twitter. I know it sounds crazy, and
It's not
I hate
crazy.
I hate all social media other than Twitter. But whether we like it or not, it's kind of the town square of crypto, right? So because I spent so much time on Twitter, it's almost kind of like a visual quasi machine learning algorithm, if you want to call it, starts to develop, or an intuition or a gut feel or whatever. And like, I don't want to pat myself on the back or anything. Like, there have been over 1,000 narratives that I've missed in crypto history, right? But like, what they say, you only need to be early to like one or two, right? So because I've been spending so much time on Twitter, I can sense, and I specifically study like very small accounts that aren't doing it for cloud. They are not doing it for the audience. They're not doing it for ref links, right? I think that's where a lot of quote unquote alpha is found, or a lot of early trends. And yeah, because I've been spending so much time there, I just can notice things a bit faster. And I wasn't even early to a lot of the narratives. In my case, I'm more like late early, but I just go with bigger size, right? So that's pretty much what I try to do.
This helps kind of set this stage. So I know for people who followed you and have heard your meme coin thesis a number of different ways, they may already know this, but for my primary, I don't even know who my audience is. I do have a Bitcoiner heavy audience though. Let's try to summarize your Bitcoin or your meme coin thesis. I really like you made this one liner or this analogy that they're like meme coins are guilds in the MMORPG that is crypto. Just go from that. Like, how do you describe your meme coin thesis to people who haven't heard it before?
Yep, it's a great question. Here's kind of my theory about why meme coins are becoming increasingly popular right now, right? There's two theories, and I think they kind of complement each other. So one is kind of more inside of crypto, and the other is more kind of outside of crypto. And it's a very intersectional issue. There's like many angles and many sort of forces and dynamics and trends that are all overlapping to make this happen, right? So, altcoins have been popular in crypto for 10 years because people want to invest or gamble on something that is going to move faster than BTC, right? Whether you like it or not, there's always going to be people who want to kind of find the next thing or find something that's even higher beta than BTC, right? Now, there's a big problem that has happened in the last 10 years in crypto. Some of the successful altcoins like Ethereum, Chainlink, BNB, whatever, right? You could buy them at launch at around $25 million, right? Valuation. Now, come 2024, the situation has changed drastically where the sort of tech founder, VC, market maker, the whole supply chain, they launch tokens on day one at 25 billion now, right? And you can probably sense where I'm going with this. My whole thesis is if you want to build a hardcore community, if you want to build a cult, you need to make poor people rich. If you don't make poor people rich, you don't have a community. And this was the same case with BTC. This was the same case with ETH. It was the same case with a lot of kind of altcoins that ended up being successful for several cycles in a row, right? The issue is in order to build a community, you need to have these people ride the whole trend with you relatively early at a relatively fair valuation. And then when it ends up going from 25 million to 5 billion or higher, even after a small move up, a lot of these people, they literally quit their jobs. They make the coin their whole identity, and they become free full-time evangelists or even engineers in some cases, growth hackers, influence, whatever, for the sake of the project, right? Now, when you launch at 25 billion, it is so extractive, right? I mean, it's just going to be down only. It's going to be down only until at least 1 billion. And because of that, I kind of say that VCs have been engaged in global IQ arbitrage. Most people around the world, they mistakenly think of tokens as quasi-equity, which is obviously wrong because these are just loose tokens. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like altcoins have been meme coins all along. this is why meme coins are dominating right now. People are finally accepting that altcoins have been meme coins all along. And if that's true, then pure meme coins are better, because pure meme coins, they make better memes than tech alts, right? And essentially, one way to look at memes, and that's the first theory, is essentially it's revenge against VCs, revenge against code cells, revenge against tech founders, etc. Now, the second theory, which is even more important in my opinion, is the following. You know, Zoomers are not going to have as good of a life as Boomers. That's just going to happen for sure, right? Unfortunately. For some reasons, it's kind of Boomers' fault. For other reasons, it's kind of emergent properties of the overall system. And, you know, Zoomers don't have as much power, money, status, or clout as the older generations. And this applies to some of the younger millennials as well. But you have to ask yourself, what is the one thing the young people are good at? What is the one thing they are better at than older people? And that is social media. And my belief, and actually the bigger reason why meme coins are kind of winning right now, is because younger generations are effectively creating their own asset class that is hyper optimized for social media virality, social media age, and obviously, as the name goes, it's using the meme language, right? The younger people are obviously better at memes. It's a universal global language that transcends any kind of ethnicity or geography. And essentially, you know, people say that meme coins are about gambling, but I think they are about survival. Essentially, it's like a wolf that's been pushed to the corner, and whether we like it or not, we're kind of creating our own thing in order to survive. And I think that's what's happening. It's an intergenerational divide, right? So these are like the two forces. I think it's kind of like 40% the former, 60% the latter. But this is why meme coins are winning right now. And I think it's going to continue to happen. Meme coins are still a tiny fraction of the altcoin space. But most importantly, since this is a Bitcoin focused podcast, I want to stress the following. I think meme coins are much more aligned with BTC than altcoins are. Why? Because fundamentally, there are four driving forces in the crypto space. And I call these things energies, right? The first is store of value, HODL demand, and this monetary premium. You call it low velocity, right? The second is kind of like utility, fuel, commodity, call it transactional, call it high velocity. The third is cash flows. And that's a very small handful of altcoins that are going to essentially become quasi-stock-like in the future once regulations clean up a little bit. And the fourth is, call it mimetic, community, speculative, belief, narrative, and that's, call it the fourth bucket, right? And now what people are realizing is, you know, so many of these alts, they're trading at $6 billion valuations while making $600 of revenue per day. Obviously, that valuation is not because of the cash flow. It's all mimetic in nature anyway. It's all narrative mimetic in nature anyway. So what meme coins are doing, you know, a lot of people think meme coins are degeneracy. I actually think meme coins are maturation and purification of the space, because they're going to act as a checks and balances system. Why? Meme coins are currently stealing the community mimetic speculative premia away from altcoins. And that's essentially going to slowly destroy the altcoin complex. And it's been happening for the past year and a half. As I'm sure you've noticed, traditional altcoins have underperformed memes significantly. And meme coins are still small even after the recent 100x, right? So I call it the great tech to meme rotation. You know, VCs have been feeding us bullshit that there's like 1,000 use cases of blockchain, but in reality, there's only 7 or 8, and they've pretty much been built out. Ultimately, I've been recommending people the BTC and meme coin portfolio for the past year, and that's been doing extremely well because these two buckets have been outperforming altcoins. And yeah, that's kind of where my mind is at. Ultimately, I think, like I said, meme coins are still small compared to alts. And my belief is, if you study altcoin cycles, the theme that outperforms in 2024, or rather, sorry, the theme that outperforms in year 3 goes extra ballistic in year 4. And I think in this year, we've had BTC and meme coins. And I think next year, that story is going to continue. And BTC and meme coins are going to continue to dominate in 2025 as well.
You described this and it got me thinking, because a lot of people talk about, I've heard in the very hardcore Bitcoin space for the past several years that there is this extremely hard Bitcoin maximalist, no tolerance view, and they kind of describe themselves as like white blood cells, like for purification of the ecosystem. And it sounds to me like this meme coin thesis and meme coins as a balancing mechanism for the entire crypto ecosystem might actually be a very good analogy for that, for a forcing function for crypto applications broadly to be very honest about their real use case. Because if they don't have one, then meme coins will subsume that. It's a very interesting inversion of what we've seen happen in Bitcoin over the past few years. And I almost wouldn't say it's a version. It's just the natural continuation of that.
Exactly. And I even think that even altcoins with a use case are going to suffer as well, just because young people don't really care about the software. They don't really care about the tech. They just want to have fun and make money. So I think this trend persists for like much longer and at much bigger scale than people expect.
So I've heard you give very good responses to this next question, but I'll tee it up for you, which is a lot of people's mental models for these meme coins is that you get in early for one cycle, and it's a goal of about playing the musical chairs game to get out. But I've heard you give a case for a multi-cycle meme coin thesis, and we're sitting right now as Doge pumps again for like the 8th time in the 4th cycle. What are your thoughts? How do you describe this multi-cycle idea? What does a meme coin beyond a single extractive cycle?
Yeah, so first of all, stepping back a little bit, I think meme coins are going to dominate until as long as fiat money is still alive. Because fundamentally, meme coins have been created indirectly by the system itself. It wasn't any one person's creation. Now, that being said, I think the meme coin supercycle has actually started not in 2023, but in 2013 when Dogecoin got created. And
I totally
Dogecoin,
agree. This is my
and the thing is, in 2017 peak, we had one meme coin. It was Doge. In 2021 peak, we had like 3,000 of them. It was like 3,000 dogs, famous dog season. And right now, we already have like 15 million of them. And next time we're probably going to have 2 billion of them, right? It's not going to stop because it's a byproduct. It's a byproduct of the way the world has designed itself, right? And my view is Dogecoin, Flocky, a couple of others as well have proven that meme coins can exist for several cycles. Frankly, I think XRP, Link, and Cardano are meme coins as well. And ultimately, my theory is that tech alts are not about technology and meme coins are not about memes. Both of them are simply tokenized communities. And they're simply using kind of different techniques to grow themselves. And because Doge has proven that it's possible, my view is that in terms of the new meme coins from this kind of cycle 2023, 2024, I believe 4 or 5 of them are going to end up surviving into several cycles as well. And that's kind of my working theory at the moment.
Yeah, I also see this, and it to me, it's almost like, if we look back to the past year, and as meme coins, really about this time last year on Solana, began their true this cycle arc. and evolved into and was dominated by the pump.fun meta this past year. And now it seems like everybody just can only think about meme coins in the context of pump.fun. But to me, that totally misses the point of what you're talking about. I think of this analogy like the type of like community, the quasi-religion, quasi-cult community which you are describing, which survives through whatever path it takes. Like, if I were in search of a new religion, I would not go try to look at the casino. I would not try to go find those originating on a fast and loose token launch platform like pump.fun. I would probably start with examining culture itself and maybe like some core belief systems emerging. Like,
Exactly.
what do you like, where do you look? It doesn't have to be specific, but I mean, like, what draws your eye? What attracts you in the current culture landscape?
You're literally describing. I'm literally writing down notes because I like some of your wording here. You're literally describing my working thesis at the moment, word for word. And I will say, meme coins are actually being actively separated into two sub asset classes right now. And on one hand, you have the pump fun, hyper gambling, intraday, intra-week, super fast paced, kind of pump and dumps, news based, flavor of the week type stuff. And then on the other hand, is what I'm interested in is kind of like this cult building, community building for the sake of simplicity, call it trying to build the next Doge, right? And put it this way: you are a Zoomer with somewhere between $5,000 and $50,000 in savings. You have pretty much two, loosely speaking, this cycle. You have pretty much two ways to survive. One is to play the gambling game, and two is essentially to find communities of believers or people that genuinely have a culture of like holding, believing, evangelizing. This is actually my exact thesis, and this is why I jokingly say that kind of like my Bitcoin maximalist period was perfect preparation for this. Why? Because all of my favorite memes are those who have a culture similar to BTC. Hardcore religion like vibes, hardcore cult, extreme sort of a tight-knit group of people, community first, something ideological, and essentially it's all about inspiration, and it's all about inspiration per capita, as I call it, right? So all of my biggest meme coin holdings are meme coins that are unquestionably most similar to BTC, right? So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, so this makes me kind of wonder, because I think a lot of people think that people lose sight of the fact that we're only like 16 years into this crazy trend and this crazy emergent system that is Bitcoin. And like, a lot of people think, oh, well, we have defined the meta going forwards. Like, the current mental models which are popular today are the ones which will extend indefinitely into the future. And a lot of people raise money on this. A lot of people like bet, they nail it for a cycle on this, but that fails to recognize that the paradigm shift each cycle to cycle. And this makes me wonder, like, I got to ask this question, like, the meme coins or the communities which you describe, like, do they already exist, or are they yet to come into existence and we simply just have to be looking for them? What do you think about
Yeah,
this idea?
I think most of the winners of this quote unquote cycle have already been decided. Um, you know, because here's the way I see it. Cult building in the context of meme coins takes about 8 months at least, in my experience. And you need to go through this process where the meme coin dumps 80% two or three times. That essentially builds stamina, that builds belief. And what it does is it kind of gets the non believers out and it keeps the believers in. and these crazy believers, they're not even going to sell after the coin is going to go 100x. They're going to wait for 100x again. So ultimately, these people are going to be waiting for 10,000x. And I don't want to turn this podcast episode into a shill fest, but I'll give you 3 examples. SPX 6900, which is a meme coin which is trying to flip the stock market. I know it sounds
Oh yeah,
absolutely
go for it. I love this idea.
I know it sounds absolutely delusional, but if you are a student of kind of altcoin history or just crypto history, you know that the more delusional and crazy the community, the better. And whether it flips or doesn't flip the stock market, it doesn't matter, because even if we only cover 1% of that distance, we're talking about 500 billion, right? So there's a lot to think about there. We very briefly, we like to pitch it as GME on steroids, because this time around, no one can turn off the sell button, no one can print more shares, and there's no revenues boards, none of the disappointments, none of the buildings, none of the physical bullshit, and it can grow much faster. Second one is Giga, which is Giga Chad, and I like it because it's all about kind of positive masculinity, working out, health, stoicism, and it's moderately conservative coded. Last but not least, it's Apu, which is all about kind of warmth, friendship, and kindness. And the reason I mention these is because compared to a lot of these aren't the only cults, but compared to a lot of the others, they have this like movement like feel to them, and I think movements are like the next evolution of cults, and they inspire people. Like compared to a random animal coin, I'm not gonna wake up at 4 a.m. to hustle for it. You know what I mean? But these things, because there's an ideological component here, you will notice that people are crazy. Like people love it so much, and I think they're gonna go higher.
So yeah, I mean, just for some like tone on this podcast, like I think a lot of other legacy Bitcoin podcasts have this very narrow like definition of what they can and can't talk about. And my personal view is that has hamstrung and put blinders on many Bitcoiners. And I have a more of a like acknowledging and an acknowledging approach. What is interesting happening across crypto? Because isn't the narrative that it comes to Bitcoin at some time? This has been the narrative for so long that like a lot of the trends we see will emerge on Bitcoin. And I guess that makes a good transition to talk about Bitcoin, because Murad, 10 years ago, there weren't you could technically do meme coins on Bitcoin, but 10 years ago, there weren't meme coins on Bitcoin. When you kind of outlaid your Bitcoin thesis in the years of 17, 18, 19, there still really weren't Bitcoin meme coins on Bitcoin. And even when you kind of emerged into this like neo like let's try to capture market sentiment, there still weren't really meme coins on Bitcoin, and now there are, and they are absolutely taking over. If you look at the number of transactions on Bitcoin, over half of them each day by number are related to meme coins. This is wild. I think it's vastly underappreciated, but now you can do meme coins on Bitcoin. I'm going to throw this back at you. Does this evolve your thesis? How are you thinking about this? I've heard you say you're kind of looking at this, but like, I want to kind of press on this subject in the context of like, you can do this on Bitcoin now.
Yeah, so 3 things here. First of all, I think meme coins are going to be a thing even after hyper Bitcoinization, because people will always want to tokenize like something, tokenize groups of people, and it's extremely fun and it's very fulfilling. And I think I think religion, especially in the West, is undergoing a little bit of loss of product market fit. So I think there's going to be other sort of communities and societies that are going to be filling at least part of that void. Second of all, I think And by the way, with the disclaimer that I'm not as well versed in ordinals, runes, and kind of like the new sort of category of assets emerging on top of Bitcoin, because I've been mainly focused on the Ethereum and Solana assets. But I do think it's very bullish for BTC because, clearly we do need BTC to be used in a various variety of ways because the long-term vision is to have a Bitcoin economy that is because we will need most of the mining revenues to be coming from fees, right? So this is definitely bullish for the ecosystem. And actually, the emergence of ordinals, runes, and other assets is essentially dismantling a lot of the FUD, which is a good thing. That being said, I personally really like Bitcoin puppets because, similar to my movement thesis, they have a vision of trying to achieve world peace. And as symbolic as that may be, I think it's very powerful because it's like, are you not supporting Bitcoin puppets? Like, do you not want world peace? Like, what's wrong with you, right? So you kind of have to buy it. Second of all, they have obviously the NFT collection. It's very powerful because it allows for social media signaling. And that's so important these days. It aligns with my thesis for my other meme coins, where having an NFT collection is very bullish because the NFT collection allows for social media signaling of the coin, and then the coin wealth. It's kind of a two-way feedback loop. That wealth feeds into the NFT price. I also like some of the other BTC-based NFT collections, such as the Ordinal Biz, and I also like the Node Monkeys. I haven't dabbled into some of the other number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, but these are kind of my favorites at the moment. But I know that there's a lot of interesting things that are happening on BTC right now, including the bitmap stuff, DMT stuff, some of the crazier stuff. But I think that's going to continue growing, and I'm bullish. I'm bullish on these sort of sub asset classes for 2025.
Yeah, you know what, one thing you mentioned, which was that the puppets have a profile picture and the the signature pups token. And what's interesting, Murad, is I don't know if this is the case on other chains. Like, certainly there is a lot of cross pollination between a token and a PFP'd community. But what's interesting is that I think a lot of this is path dependent on Bitcoin, because the protocols upon which runes and other token schemes operate, and the scheme that we use to produce these JPEGs, these PFPs, they all come from the same person. One guy, very humbly, Casey, kind of outlaid some protocols and threw them out there, and they have kind of each taken a life of their own. And to me, I see these assets more synthesized on Bitcoin from a community angle, whereas on, say, Ethereum or Solana, the token standard is separate, or at least its genesis is separate than the standard by which the predominant standards which we do NFTs. And I'm kind of spitballing here, but I'm trying to introduce new things for you to think about and to kind of chew on here. I guess one of the questions, and so we experienced on Bitcoin a very, very punishing bear market in the secondary asset ecosystem, meme coins and PFP ecosystem. A lot of meme coins ever did, but what I forget exactly where I was going with this, but what we saw was a significant validation of your thesis that cults are what create survival, and I just think like one of the distinguishing factors is that you put something on all these tokens and these data, these are permanent on Bitcoin, whereas we don't know whether the data itself will be permanent on Ethereum. There is talk of expunging with a purge on Ethereum. Like these are, it's hard for me to see these cults existing in 20 to 50 years simply because they exist on a protocol which is very, very changing. And I look at Bitcoin and I see it has these like structural hangups right now. It's not easy to build and trade on Bitcoin. It's like very clunky. I don't know if you're familiar with like the runes, like batching issues, but like what I see Bitcoin as having is this asymmetric staying power at a protocol level. Now I've been rambling a bit here, but I want to take how do you respond to some of my stream of consciousness thoughts here?
I totally agree with your line of reasoning, and I believe that the best communities, meme coins, cults, whatever you want to call them, they will be multi-chain. And that's actually been the strategy of a lot of my favorite meme coins, because we want to be technology agnostic, we want to be chain agnostic, we want to be upgrade agnostic, and some of the best meme coins, they keep bridging parts of their supply to other chains so that we can be adaptable and also to increase distribution. So I think in the future, the best meme coins, they're going to be living on 20 chains simultaneously. And that's absolutely the future. Second thing, and kind of in that same vein, I'll tell you the following, right? This is why I like BTC and memes the most. You know, whenever you're talking about, so first thing, whenever you're talking about technology and your thesis is based about technology, you're always at risk. You always have to run forward. And every 6 months, there's going to be some shinier thing, faster thing, cheaper thing, better thing. And they commoditize each other. They keep eating each other. And then one comes, dismantles the other, another one comes, right? Like, I don't want to name names, but there's a bunch of kind of layer ones from 4 years ago. No one is talking about them right now because there's new layer ones now, right? So it's a rotational game. You can never win. The beauty of BTC and the beauty of these cult meme coins, as I call them, is that their value driver to a significant extent isn't technological, but it's other things. It's actually more biological. It's community, faith, belief, liquidity, Lindy effect, and it's these like people kind of coming together. And I think that's very powerful. Now, let's take this even to the next level, right? AI, without a doubt, will keep getting better in the coming years. And I actually think that AI becoming better is somewhat bearish on tech alts and, frankly, pretty much any kind of blockchain project that's collecting fees on chain. Why? As we're already seeing right now, AI is collapsing the cost, time, and skill to build a code base, especially in the context of the open source world, to pretty much zero. So I think everything is going to get aggressively forked. Every on-chain protocol that charges 2% fees or 1% fees or whatever, that's going to collapse down to 0.01% or zero. And it's going to keep happening over and over. So I think AI is going to make all the tech stuff cheaper. And it's going to hyper commoditize all the tech stuff. So in the context of like blockchain world. So you have to ask yourself, in this context of a world where AI gets better and better and better, what are the things that are going to retain a premium? And I think, wider in the world is going to be biological things. It's going to be health, wellness, community, like real world parties, events, whatever. And then in the context of financial assets or crypto assets, it's going to be things that, again, don't rely on technology. They rely on people, community, faith, etc. Right? And this is why I don't like I don't like the tech stuff, I like the human stuff more, right?
Well, it's really interesting because I I kind of had to switch gears for this conversation because I spent the past weekend in Boston. We have a little media company. We put together a very technical conference and had, I would say, the majority of the technical mindshare in the Bitcoin development world discussing like soft fork proposals. Um, and what's interesting is that we see a lot of the Bitcoin community activated now towards a specific soft fork proposal, the OpCat proposal, but there's others out there. This is interesting because I look at how the Taproot Wizards are pushing this, and they are leveraging a community to combine with technical proficiency to advocate for a Bitcoin soft fork. Like, we haven't really seen this strategy before. Do you have thoughts at all on a soft fork or this type of trend or this type of community leveraging? Like, because it's, I don't know, this is to me one of the most interesting things happening in Bitcoin right now, which transcends just the monetary like meme coin speculation and gets into the meme coin with a movement, but now on Bitcoin.
Yeah, so this perfectly aligns with my thesis. And in your example, Taproot Wizards, they use I believe, both their NFT and their coin in order to essentially support some sort of technological change, right? This is exactly what I meant by movement coins, and this is what I call movement coins. They're essentially like cult coins on steroids. Movement coins, they inspire people, they mobilize people, and they give people meaning. They give people a goal, and they make it almost like an adventure. And this is why these are exactly the ones that I like the most, because like people want to do something. It's not just about making money. There is some non-monetary component, and my whole thesis is, let's be real, right? Like every crypto asset has a monetary selfish component, right? But my thesis is the bigger the non-monetary component, the bigger the non-selfish component, the better.
I will just as a point of clarification that there's a wizard token which is actually separate from the Taproot Wizards. But what's funny is what's funny is, Murad, is that we're seeing like wizards as an asset class on Bitcoin kind of follow each other. It's an interesting phenomenon that I kind of jokingly call it the wizard super cycle, but it's I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I do want to kind of wrap this up because it is a absolute crazy day in the markets. But I will I will just, I think a lot of people don't realize that you have been this guy for not just the past year when you kind of exploded into meme coin superstardom, but one of the first things, Murad, I ever put on Bitcoin in the first like couple days that Ordinal started, I inscribed your like passage of time Lindy effect chart, and I joked about it, and I made it this inscription like back in the day, and I didn't know what to put on here. I was like, Ordinals are here. They're this like digital collectible, and I just thought this was really interesting, because I think that idea has you've really leaned into that. How are you going? This is a very big question. How are you going to navigate 2025 from a personal and psychological level? Because this is not real life. This is like its own crazy MMORPG, if you will. What is your advice to people who are perhaps experiencing the highest of highs right now and will probably go on in the future? Like, you have picked yourself off the floor more than once, and I would invite you to like give advice to people how to navigate the next several years.
Yeah, so not financial advice, but I think we have about 1 year of kind of like bullishness ahead of us. And I've been preaching this for months, but I think you simply buy and hold, or if you're already holding, even better. If you have high conviction assets that you're bullish on, In my case, it's BTC and 10 memes. I'm going to plan to hold them for another year. And that's kind of like my very simple strategy. Buy and hold outperforms 99% of people. And this is exactly what I'm doing this cycle.
Well, great. I just, again, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I'm going to put it out here in the next couple hours. And otherwise, I think I owe you a beer, or maybe you owe me a beer. I forget who owes who a beer, probably both. So maybe when everything's quiet down again and we all collect our thoughts, we can find ourselves in the same city and reflect on the crazy year that was 2025. So thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Murad.